when you finally get the ghost on camera. Gotta play it so the baby doesn't get scared.
Okay.
A pretty girl.
Are we gonna grab her foot or something?
New shoes.
No.
You got such pretty shoes. Hi, I like you. I didn't know you were here.
No way.
The following footage shows someone who's by himself inside a gym when something terrifying happens. Emily Ruiz, who suggested the video, writes, "Words cannot explain this disturbing footage. The person in the video had obtained this recording from the gym and sent it to a friend who we hear speaking in the video. This is what was captured."
Es que pasaron cosas muy extrañas, la madre. Hasta
¿Y qué le pasó, papi?
hasta una máquina se movió. Vea, mira, explíqueme eso. Vea,
eso
dos
porque
cuerdas
se
y.
mueve atrás.
Yo qué vas a ver, mamá, y la otra quieta. O sea, no podemos decir que es el aire, ni que hay ventilación, ni nada de esas vainas.
Eso es como
y en
encerrado.
plena luz del día, ¿quién dice que estas maricadas pasan en plena luz del día? No. Mire, la luz. Mire, mire. Mire, ahí. Mira eso. Mira eso.
Uy, ¿eso qué pasó? ¿Por qué eso se
Y esa
mueve?
esa vaina es pesadísima, eso es pesadísimo.
¿Sí?
Sí, parece eso es una energía muy mala.
¡Ay, Dios mío! ¿Qué le pasó?
Mamá, mire.
No, Dios, no, no, eso no es normal.
Sí, yo sé
eso
que-
no es normal,
Sí,
no.
ya sé.
Those who've seen the footage were left unsettled by this terrifying encounter. At the start of the video, we can see that someone or something is peeking at this person. This is something you might have missed. Now, it's worth mentioning that another camera had recorded this from a different angle. By looking at this specific footage, we can see that the facility has open windows. It could be that the wind from outside the room was causing the ropes to move on their own. But if that were the case, then other things in the room should have moved as well, especially the towel on the box, which appears light enough to move just a bit, but it doesn't. The wind could also explain the ball's movement, but mind you, this is a medicine ball. It would take more than just a gust of wind to be able to move something this heavy. But what's even more baffling about this footage is how the person gets dragged across the floor. It could be that he was doing this on his own, moving his body in such a way to make it seem as though he were being dragged. However, a closer look at this scene shows that he was jerked in a forceful manner, which is almost impossible to do on one's own. Other things in the video remain questionable, such as lights turning off on their own, or whatever this is. I'll leave it to you to come up with your own conclusion on this footage. Feel free to let me know what you think.
3 chilling discoveries by urban explorers. Number 3, dungeon. This empty property in Canada was found to have a padlocked dungeon. The dungeon had cans of petrol and looked like it was used for disturbing criminal activities. However, when police came to search the dungeon, the house mysteriously caught fire overnight. Number 2, abandoned amusement park. An explorer in the Lancashire region of England was walking through the woods when he came across broken mannequins and metal beams. It was discovered that the place was an abandoned amusement park from the 60s, which had been shut down and was now considered haunted. Number 1, gravestone. 2 urban explorers were searching a $13 million worth mansion. The mansion had been abandoned some time ago, but had been relatively well preserved. That when the pair went into the basement and found a gravestone of a 7-year-old boy named Little Jack. No one knows what a grave was doing inside a mansion.
He went to explore an abandoned factory alone and got himself into a horrifying situation. Chris from Urbix Hill explored the abandoned Westinghouse factory in Cleveland. The place was abandoned in 1979 and now houses the homeless. While inside the factory, Chris found himself in a dark hall. And at the end was a man hunched down, completely unresponsive.
Yo.
After a few attempts of seeing if he needed help, Chris leaves him alone and continues exploring. He began to feel bad for his situation, so he decided to return to give him some money. But when Chris got there, he wasn't there anymore. Now, kinda creeped out, Chris cautiously looks for him. He heard voices coming from an area, and when Chris got there, he saw the same man standing in the dark, completely unresponsive. Chris decides to leave.
We found a door in the woods that was bricked up, but then we found one that had been broken open. So we waited until night time and came back to go in. I can't lie, I was pooing my pants. It turns out the tunnels go for miles underground, but we weren't alone in there. Follow and like for part 2. You asked for part 2, so here it is. The tunnels were like a maze, but we started to notice a pattern in the numbers on the walls. So we kept going further in. Unfortunately, we then also noticed huge cave spiders everywhere. And some worrying messaging. And more spiders. They were not cute. We had come too far to turn back now, so we continued going. When we headed back towards where we came in, we realized we must have taken a wrong turn, as we were seeing tunnels that we didn't recognize. Did I mention I don't like spiders? Comment and like for part 3. We had now been in the tunnels for a very long